Forced to marry abusive fiancé, she fled. He chased. Korean Mafia boss opened his car door. Get in. My lungs were burning as I ran. One of my heels snapped. I didn't stop. I kicked the shoes off and kept running barefoot on the asphalt. The pavement tore at my skin, but I couldn't feel it. I couldn't feel anything except the terror clawing up my throat. Behind me, heavy footsteps. Fast. Angry. Tiana. Alonzo's voice cracked like a whip. He wasn't even out of breath. He was hunting. You think you can embarrass me? Get back here. I turned the corner, my wedding dress snagging on a chain-link fence. I heard the fabric rip, a loud, ugly sound. I yanked it free, leaving a chunk of white lace behind like a flag of surrender. I wasn't surrendering. Not today. If you want her to run faster and escape him right now, hit like. Subscribe and tell us your time and location, because if he catches her, it's all over. I scrambled into an alleyway. Dead end. No, just narrow. Dumpsters. Broken glass. I squeezed past a parked delivery truck, my breath coming in short, jagged gasps. Don't look back. Don't look back. But I could hear him. He was getting closer. I could hear the rage in his breathing. There's nowhere to go. Tiana, you have no money. You have nothing without me. He was right. I had nothing. No phone. No wallet. Just this stupid, heavy dress that felt like a cage. I burst out of the alley and onto the main street. Cars honked. Tires screeched. I froze. The traffic was a wall of metal and noise. I looked left, then right. Alonzo grabbed my shoulder. His fingers dug in deep, right where the bruise from yesterday was still healing. Got you, he hissed. I screamed. I twisted away, slipping on the wet road. I fell hard, scraping my knees. I looked up and saw his hand raising. He wasn't smiling. His face was twisted, ugly red. You stupid, ungrateful, screech. A black SUV swerved across 2 lanes of traffic. It didn't slow down gently. It slammed to a halt right in front of us, blocking Alonzo's path. The tires smoked. The back window rolled down. It wasn't a savior. It wasn't a cop. It was a man in a suit that looked sharper than a knife blade. Dark hair pushed back. Eyes that didn't blink. He looked at Alonzo like he was a bug on a windshield. Then he looked at me. He didn't ask if I was okay. He didn't ask for my name. He just swung the door open. Get in. I didn't think. I scrambled. I threw myself into the back seat of that car like my life depended on it. Because it did. My dress bunched up around me. Mud on the hem, blood on my feet. I clawed at the leather seats, pulling myself deeper inside. Thump. Alonzo's fist slammed against the window glass just as the door locked. He was right there, inches away, screaming something I couldn't hear. His face was pressed against the glass, eyes wide, mouth open in a roar. He looked insane. He looked like he wanted to break the window with his bare hands. The man in the driver's seat didn't even flinch. He just pressed the gas. The car surged forward. Alonzo disappeared. The street disappeared. The noise of the city faded into a low, steady hum inside the cabin. I huddled in the corner, shaking. I couldn't stop shaking. My teeth chattered. I wrapped my arms around myself, trying to make myself small, trying to disappear. Breathe. The man said. His voice was deep, calm. It filled the car. I looked up. He was watching me in the rearview mirror. Lim Sung. That's who he was. I didn't know his name then, but I knew his type. Dangerous. Controlled. The kind of man who didn't raise his voice because he didn't have to. He's going to follow us. I stammered. My voice sounded wrecked. You don't know him. He won't stop. Lim Sung turned a corner. His hands relaxed on the steering wheel. Let him try. He glanced at my arm. The sleeve of my dress was torn. The finger marks from Alonzo's grip were already turning purple against my skin. Lim Sung's eyes narrowed. Just a fraction. The air in the car got heavier. Colder. He put his hands on you. He stated. It wasn't a question. I fell. I lied. It was instinct. Protect the abuser. Don't make a scene. Don't lie to me, he said. Softly. I saw him. He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a handkerchief. He tossed it into the back seat. It landed on my knee. Crisp. White. Expensive. Wipe your face, he said. You're safe now. I picked up the cloth. My hands were trembling so bad I almost dropped it. Why? I whispered. Why did you stop? You don't even know me. Lim Sung met my eyes in the mirror again. This time, he didn't look away. I didn't just happen to be driving by. Tiana. My heart stopped. He knew my name. I was on my way to the wedding, he said, turning the car onto the highway ramp. to stop it. The elevator ride up was silent. The kind of silence that hurts your ears. I stood in the corner of the metal box, hugging my arms. I looked a mess. My hair was coming loose, my feet were black with street dirt, and the dress was ruined. Mud stains on the hem. A rip down the side. Lim Sung stood near the doors. He didn't look at me. He was checking his watch, typing something on his phone. Like he did this every day. Like rescuing runaway brides was just another Tuesday. The doors slid open. His apartment wasn't a home. It was a fortress. Floor-to-ceiling windows looked out over the city. Everything was gray-black, chrome. No photos. No clutter. It was beautiful, but it felt cold. Guest room is down the hall. Second door on the left, he said, tossing his keys into a bowl. There's a lock on the inside. Use it. I froze. Use it. He knew. He knew I didn't trust him. He knew I didn't trust men. I walked down the hall, my bare feet slapping against the cold tile. I found a room. I went inside and shut the door. I turned the lock. Click. I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. I went into the bathroom. It was huge. Mirrors everywhere. I caught my reflection. I looked like a ghost. Smudged mascara. Wild eyes. And the dress. The symbol of everything I hated. I unzipped it. It fell to the floor in a heavy pile of white lace. That's when I saw them. The lights in here were bright. Unforgiving. They showed everything. A purple mark on my ribcage where Alonzo shoved me last week. For distinct fingerprints on my upper arm from 10 minutes ago. A scrape on my knee from the fall. I looked like a map of violence. I turned on the shower, scrubbing my skin until it was red, trying to wash Alonzo off me. I scrubbed until I hurt. But the bruises didn't wash away. They stayed. Ugly. Dark. Proof. I dried off and found a shirt hanging on the door hook. It was one of his. Black. Oversized. It smelled like sandalwood and expensive tobacco. I put it on. It swallowed me, hanging down to my knees. I unlocked the door. Lim Sung was in the kitchen. He had put a plate of food on the island. I walked over, feeling small. He looked up. His eyes scanned my face, then dropped to my arm. The sleeve of the t-shirt had rolled up. The bruise on my bicep was glowing under the kitchen lights. He stopped chopping vegetables. The knife went still. He walked around the island. He didn't ask permission. He reached out and gently, so gently it scared me, took my wrist. He lifted my arm. He stared at the bruise. His jaw tightened. A muscle jumped in his cheek. He did this today? His voice was low. Dangerous. I nodded. Lim Sung didn't say it was okay. He didn't say he was sorry. Sit down, he said. Eat. You're shaking. My pocket was vibrating against my thigh. I was sitting on a bar stool in Lim Sung's kitchen, staring at a plate of eggs I couldn't touch. The vibration wouldn't stop. It felt like a heartbeat. A panicked, angry heartbeat. I knew who it was. I ignored it for the first minute. Then the second. But by the third minute, the buzzing was making me nauseous. It was a Pavlovian response. When the phone rings, you answer. If you don't answer, he gets mad. If he gets mad, things get broken. Are you going to get that? Lim Sung was leaning against the counter, drinking black coffee. He was watching me again. I pulled the phone out. My hand was trembling so bad the screen was blurry. 47 missed calls. 12 new messages. I opened the texts. My chest got tight. Alonzo, 10:02 a.m. Where the hell are you? Alonzo, 10:05 a.m. Everyone is waiting. Stop acting like a child. Alonzo, 10:15 a.m. You think you can run? You have nowhere to go. Alonzo, 10:20 a.m. Answer me, Tiana. Alonzo, 10:32 a.m. I'm going to call your mother. I'm going to tell her what you did. I have to answer. I whispered. The logic was twisted, but it made sense to me. If I answered, maybe I could calm him down. Maybe I could talk him out of hurting my mom. I went to type a reply. I'm sorry. I just panicked. That's what I always said. I'm sorry, even when I wasn't. A hand covered mine. Lim Sung didn't grab me. He just placed his hand over the phone, stopping my thumbs. His skin was warm. Rough. Don't, he said. He's going to call my mom. I said, my voice cracking. Tears stung my eyes. He's going to tell everyone I'm crazy. I have to fix it. You can't fix a man like that. Tiana, you don't understand. I pleaded. He won't stop. I know. Lim Sung gently pried the phone from my fingers. I tried to hold on to it, my lifeline, my leash, but he was stronger. He took it. He read the last message. His expression didn't change. He looked bored. Then, he turned around. There was a pitcher of ice water on the counter. He dropped my phone into it. Splash. I gasped. I actually reached for it, like he had dropped a baby. What are you doing? It cost you your peace. He cut me off. We watched the phone sink to the bottom among the ice cubes. The screen lit up one last time. Incoming call, Alonzo, and then fizzled out. Black. Dead. The buzzing stopped. The silence in the kitchen was sudden. Heavy. He can't reach you. Lim Sung said, wiping his hand on a towel. You don't exist to him right now. You're a ghost. He pushed the plate of eggs toward me again. Ghosts still need to eat. Finish your breakfast. For the first time in 3 years, nobody was screaming at me. Nobody was demanding my location. I looked at the dead phone in the water. He was right. I picked up the fork. I woke up gasping. Sunlight was hitting my face. Bright. Too bright. I scrambled up, my heart hammering against my ribs. I looked at the digital clock on the bedside table. 9:02 a.m. Panic, cold and sharp, flooded my chest. I was late. Alonzo liked coffee at 7 a.m. sharp. If I wasn't up, if the coffee wasn't ready, the day started with a lecture. If the lecture didn't work, the day started with a gripping hand on my arm. I threw the covers off. I was wearing Lim Sung's shirt. The memory crashed back into me. The car, the escape, the penthouse. I wasn't with Alonzo. I was safe, but my body didn't believe it. My body still thought I was in trouble. I ran out of the room. I needed to be useful. If I was useful, I was safe. That was the rule. I found the kitchen. It was spotless, gleaming with chrome and black marble. But I found a microfiber cloth on the counter. I grabbed it. I turned on the faucet, dampened the cloth, and started scrubbing the already clean island. Rub, scrub, harder. I focused on a tiny, invisible speck of dust. I needed him to see me working. I needed him to know I wasn't a leech. What are you doing? I jumped, dropping the cloth. Lim Sung stood in the doorway. He was dressed in dark slacks and a white shirt, top buttons undone, sleeves rolled up. He looked tired. He stared at the wet cloth on the floor. Then he looked at me, trembling in his oversized shirt. I'm sorry. I stammered, backing away. I slept late. I didn't mean to. I'm cleaning up. I can do the floors too. I'm good at laundry. He walked over. He moved like a big cat, silent, heavy steps. He picked up the cloth. Stop, he said. I have to pay you back. I whispered. I don't have money, but I can work. I can, Tiana. He didn't yell. He just said my name. You are not a maid. You are not an employee. He tossed the cloth into the sink. And you are not in debt to me. He walked to the coffee machine and poured a cup. Black. He slid it across the counter toward me. Sit. Drink. I hesitated. I don't understand. I know you don't, he said, taking a sip of his own. Sit down. I sat. The coffee was hot. It warmed my hands, but the ice in my stomach didn't melt. Lim Sung's phone buzzed on the counter. He glanced at it. His expression changed instantly. The calm vanished. His eyes went hard, cold, lethal. He looked up at me, and for the first time, I saw genuine alarm in his gaze. Get away from the windows, he ordered, his voice low. Why? I asked, gripping the mug. Lim Sung, what is it? My security team just spotted a gray sedan circling the block, he said. Alonzo isn't just calling. Tiana, he's hunting. The hunter has found the prey. Alonzo is outside right now. If you think Lim Sung should go down there and handle this personally, hit subscribe. Comment fight if you're ready for the war to start. Stay away from the windows. That was the new rule. Lim Sung moved through the apartment, closing the heavy blackout blinds. The room went dark, lit only by the blue glow of the massive television on the wall. You need to see this, he said. He pointed the remote. The screen flickered to life. Local news. Breaking alert. And there he was. Alonzo. He was standing in front of a microphone. Microphones from 3 different stations shoved in his face. He didn't look like the man who chased me down an alley yesterday. He didn't look like a monster. He looked broken. He was wearing a rumpled suit. His hair was messy. There were tears, actual tears, streaming down his face. I just want her home. Alonzo sobbed into the camera. My fiancé, she's been under so much stress. The wedding planning, the finances, it broke her. My mouth fell open. He's lying. I whispered. He's acting. Watch. Lim Sung said. On screen. Alonzo wiped his eyes. She's not herself. I believe she was taken. I believe someone took advantage of her mental state. If you're watching this, please, just bring her back to us. Then the camera panned out. I stopped breathing. My mother was standing next to him. She looked tiny. She was clutching her purse with both hands, her eyes darting around like a trapped bird. She looked terrified. Alonzo put his arm around her. He pulled her close. On screen, it looked like a comforting hug. A grieving fiancé supporting his future mother-in-law. Her mother and I are devastated. Alonzo said, "We just want Tiana safe." "Mom," I choked out. I stood up, moving toward the TV like I could pull her out of it. "He has her. He's going to hurt her because of me. He's using her as bait," Lim Sung said. His voice was flat, clinical. "I have to go back," I said, turning to him. Tears burned my eyes. "I can't let him do this. He's weaponizing my family." "No, you don't understand. He's holding her. Look closer," Lim Sung commanded. He walked to the screen and tapped the glass. Right where Alonzo's hand was resting on my mother's shoulder. I looked. Alonzo's fingers weren't resting. They were digging. His fingertips were pressed so hard into the fabric of her blouse that the skin of his hand was strained tight. It wasn't a hug. It was a vice grip. My mother wasn't being comforted. She was being held hostage in plain sight. "He's hurting her," I realized, the horror making my knees weak. "He is losing control," Lim Sung corrected. He turned to face me, his silhouette dark against the blue light of the screen. A man in control doesn't go on TV and cry. He doesn't drag an old woman in front of cameras. Lim Sung's eyes locked onto mine. "He's not sad, Tiana. He is terrified." "Terrified of what?" I asked. "Of me," Lim Sung said. "Because he knows I have you. And he knows he can't touch you anymore." "We are leaving." Lim Sung threw a heavy coat at me. It hit my chest with a soft thud. I stared at him. "Are you crazy? He is out there. You saw the news. Staying inside makes you a prisoner," Lim Sung said, checking the clip of his handgun before sliding it into his holster. "I don't keep prisoners. Put the coat on." We took the service elevator. Two massive men in suits, his security, flanked us. We moved fast. Into the black SUV. Down the ramp. Into the city. My heart was beating in my throat the whole time. Every red light felt like a trap. Every pedestrian looked like Alonzo. The car stopped in front of a building with no sign. Just a glass door and a buzzer. Lim Sung marched me inside. It was a store, but not a normal store. It was empty. The sales assistants were standing in a line, waiting. "Pick what you need," Lim Sung said. "We have 20 minutes." I walked through the racks. My hands were shaking. I grabbed the first things I saw. Gray sweatpants, baggy hoodies, oversized sweaters, colors of pavement and shadows. I wanted clothes that would make me invisible. I wanted to disappear into the fabric so no one would ever look at me again. I piled the gray shapeless blobs onto the counter. "Done," I whispered. Lim Sung looked at the pile. Then he looked at me. He didn't pull out his credit card. He swept his arm across the counter. Crash. The clothes hit the floor. The sales assistants jumped. I flinched, stepping back. "No," he said. "That's what I want." I argued, my voice trembling. "I just want to be comfortable." "You want to hide," he corrected. He walked over to a rack of coats. He pulled out a black leather jacket. Sharp shoulders. Silver zippers. Heavy. He walked back and held it up against me. "Alonzo liked you in pastels," he said. "He liked you soft. Easy to bruise." He shoved the jacket into my hands. It felt like a shield. "Stop dressing like a victim. Tiana, if you want to survive this, you need to look like someone who fights back." I looked at the leather. It was tough. Cold. "Go try it on," he ordered. I went into the fitting room. I pulled the jacket on. I zipped it up. It was tight, holding me together. I looked in the mirror. The girl in the gray sweatpants was gone. The woman looking back at me looked dangerous. She looked like she belonged to the man with the gun in the lobby. I walked out. Lim Sung nodded. One sharp, approving nod. "Better," he said. "Now we get the boots." The penthouse was quiet at night. Too quiet. I was sitting on the edge of the guest bed, wearing the new leather jacket. I couldn't take it off. It was the only thing making me feel safe. Lim Sung was in his office down the hall. I could hear the faint murmur of his voice on a call. Then, a sound cut through the silence. Ring. It wasn't my cell phone. That was at the bottom of a pitcher of water. It wasn't Lim Sung's cell. It was the landline on the bedside table. An old-fashioned, cream-colored phone. I stared at it. Ring. Nobody knew I was here. Nobody knew this number. Lim Sung said this place was a fortress. Ring. My hand moved on its own. I picked up the receiver. I didn't say hello. I just listened. Breathing. Slow, raspy breathing. "I know you're listening," a voice whispered. My blood turned to ice. It was Alonzo. How? I choked out. How did you get this number? I know he's rich. Alonzo hissed. He sounded drunk. I know he thinks he's tough. But does he know about the debt? Tiana. I gripped the phone tighter. Leave me alone. Does he know your father borrowed $50,000 from my dad before he died? Alonzo laughed. It was a wet, ugly sound. Does he know I own the deed to your mother's house? Does he know I can throw her on the street by tomorrow morning? Her past just kicked in the door. Alonzo has leverage that Lim Sung can't shoot his way out of. Hit subscribe if you think she should tell Lim Sung the truth right now, or comment run if you think she needs to protect him from her mess. You wouldn't. I whispered. I will, he promised. Come home, Tiana, tonight, or your mother sleeps on the curb. Don't tell your new boyfriend. Just come home. Click. The line went dead. I sat there, the dial tone buzzing in my ear like a hornet. Lim Sung walked past my doorway. He stopped. He saw me holding the phone. He saw the color drain from my face. Tiana, he asked. Who was that? I looked at him. I looked at the man who had bought me a jacket to make me feel brave. If I told him, he would try to fix it. If he tried to fix it, Alonzo would ruin him too. The debt was my mess. My shame. Wrong number. I lied. My voice was steady. Too steady. Lim Sung narrowed his eyes. He looked at the phone in my hand, then back at my face. He didn't believe me. I knew he didn't. But he didn't press it. He just nodded slowly and walked away. I put the phone down. I wasn't safe here anymore. The walls had ears, and I had to leave. I had my bag packed. Just a few things stuffed into a pillowcase. I was going to sneak out while he was distracted. I had to save my mom, but the front door didn't open. Put the bag down. Lim Sung was standing in the hallway. He wasn't looking at me. He was putting on black leather gloves. Tight. Thick. I have to go, I said, my voice shaking. You don't know what he can do. I know exactly what he can do. Lim Sung said. He pulled the Velcro strap on his wrist tight. Rip. He bought a number. My private number. That means someone in my building sold it to him. He opened the door. Stay here. Lock the bolt. He walked out. I didn't lock the bolt. I ran to the balcony. I knew I wasn't supposed to look, but I had to know. I had to see what kind of man I was living with. I peered over the railing. It was raining. The alleyway below was slick and dark, lit by a single yellow security light. I saw Lim Sung walk out. Two men were waiting there. They weren't small men. They looked like the kind of guys Alonzo hired. Cheap muscle, loud and stupid. They stepped toward Lim Sung. One of them swung a bat. I gasped, my hand flying to my mouth. But Lim Sung didn't flinch. He didn't even dodge. He moved into the swing. It was so fast I almost missed it. He caught the bat with one hand, twisted, and kicked the man's knee backward. The scream echoed up the brick walls. Crack. Then he turned to the second man. No wasted movement. 2 punches. One to the gut, one to the jaw. The man dropped like a stone. It wasn't a fight. It was a disposal. I stood there, gripping the cold railing, rain misting on my face. I should have been horrified. I should have been calling the police. But I wasn't. For the first time in my life, I wasn't scared of the violence. I was relieved by it. Alonzo used violence to control me. Lim Sung used violence to clear the path. I watched him stand over the men. He didn't keep hitting them. He just leaned down, said something low, and walked back toward the building. I ran back inside. I sat on the couch, my heart pounding against my ribs. 5 minutes later, the door opened. Lim Sung walked in. He took off the gloves. He looked calm. His hair wasn't even messy. Did you hurt them? I asked. The question hung in the air. He looked at me. His eyes were dark, unreadable pools. They won't sell your number again, he said. And Alonzo won't be calling this house tonight. He walked into the kitchen to pour a glass of water, leaving me staring at his back. I realized then that to survive a monster like Alonzo, I didn't need a hero. I needed a bigger monster. The adrenaline was gone. Now, the apartment was just quiet again. Lim Sung was sitting at the kitchen island, a glass of whiskey untouched in front of him. He was staring at his right hand. The knuckles were red, swollen. You're bleeding, I said. He glanced at his hand like it belonged to someone else. It's nothing. Skin breaks. It heals. Let me see. I didn't wait for permission. I walked over and grabbed the first aid kit from the cabinet. I knew where it was. I'd looked for it the first night, just in case. I sat on the stool next to him. Give me your hand. He hesitated. For a second, I thought he would pull away. He wasn't used to being touched. I could tell. He was used to being the one in charge, the one who fixed things. Slowly, He extended his hand. His palm was warm, calloused, rough against my soft fingers. I took an alcohol wipe and dabbed at the split skin on his knuckles. He didn't flinch, not even a twitch. "Why are you doing this?" I asked. My voice was small in the big room. "You don't know me. You're a rich, powerful man. I'm just a problem." "You're not a problem," he said. "Then what am I? A charity case?" I looked up at him. "Why did you open that car door?" Lim Sung. He looked at me. Really looked at me. "I was at the wedding to collect a debt from Alonzo's father," he said quietly. "I was standing in the back. I saw you walking down the aisle. And I saw the way you flinched when he reached for your hand at the altar. I froze. I hadn't realized anyone saw that." "I know that look," Lim Sung said. His voice got rougher, like gravel. "My mother used to have that look. Every time my father walked into a room, he pulled his hand back gently. I couldn't save her," he admitted, staring at his bruised knuckles. "I was too small, too weak. I watched her disappear a little bit every day until there was nothing left. My heart broke. Right there in the kitchen. So when I saw you running," he continued, meeting my eyes again, "I didn't see a stranger. I saw her, and I promised myself I wouldn't just watch this time." "Lim Sung, you aren't a charity case. Tiana," he said, "you're the second chance I never got." The air between us shifted. It wasn't just safety anymore. It was something deeper. A shared scar. I reached out and covered his bruised hand with mine. "Thank you," I whispered. He turned his hand over, lacing his fingers through mine. "A perfect fit." "Don't thank me yet," he said darkly. "We haven't won yet." The ceasefire ended at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. Alonzo stopped going on TV. He stopped crying for the cameras. He went for the jugular. I was in the kitchen, trying to drink tea, trying to pretend my life wasn't falling apart. Then my phone buzzed. It was a new cheap burner phone Lim Sung gave me. Only he had the number. Or so I thought. Buzz. A picture message. My blood stopped moving. It was a photo of my mother's front door. A bright orange sticker was taped to the wood. Eviction notice. 24 hours. Below the photo, a text from an unknown number. "The loan has a calling clause. I'm calling it in. She is on the street tonight. Unless you come home." I dropped the mug. It shattered. Ceramic shards flew across the floor. "No." I gasped. "No, no, no." He wasn't just threatening me anymore. He was taking the roof from over my mother's head. He knew the mortgage was the one thing my father left us that we couldn't pay. I didn't think. I ran to the bedroom. I grabbed the duffel bag. I threw in a shirt, a pair of jeans. I had to go. I had to surrender. It was the only way to stop him. I ran for the front door, my breath coming in jagged sobs. Lim Sung was standing there. He was blocking the exit. Arms crossed. Big. Immovable. "Move." I screamed. "I have to go." "You're not going back to him," he said. "Calm. Too calm. He's evicting her. He's putting my mother on the street." I shoved his chest. It was like shoving a wall. "I have to fix this. I have to trade myself for her." Lim Sung caught my wrists. He held them tight, stopping my thrashing. "We don't trade," he said. His eyes were hard, burning into mine. "We don't surrender. We negotiate. There is no negotiation." I cried. "He holds the deed. He wins. He holds a piece of paper." Lim Sung corrected. He let go of my hands and reached for his jacket. "And paper burns." He opened the door. He didn't lock me in. He stepped out into the hallway and looked back at me. "Are you coming?" he asked. "Or are you going to let him win?" I stood there, trembling. My bag felt heavy. My heart felt heavier. Tiana has a split-second choice. Run back to the abuse to save her mom, or trust the Mafia boss to handle it his way. If you would trust Lim Sung, hit like. Comment, "Boss moves" if you think Alonzo is about to regret this. I dropped the bag. "I'm coming," I said. Lim Sung nodded. "Good. Let's go buy a house." We walked to the elevator. We were leaving the safety of the fortress. We were walking straight into the fire. The bank smelled like old coffee and money. Alonzo was sitting in the glass-walled conference room. He looked perfect. Suit pressed, hair styled, a team of lawyers flanking him like attacked dogs. He looked like he owned the place. When I walked in, his eyes lit up. A predatory, smug spark. "Tiana," he smiled, standing up. "You came to your senses." He didn't look at Lim Sung. He acted like Lim Sung was just my driver. "I have the NDA ready," Alonzo said, sliding a thick packet across the mahogany table. "Sign this. Admit you had a mental episode. Come home, and your mother keeps the house." I looked at the paper. It was a leash. If I signed it, I was his property again. Forever. Lim Sung stepped forward. He didn't sit. He didn't look at the NDA. He looked at the bank manager, a sweating man in a cheap tie. The loan. Lim Sung said. Who holds the note? Mr. Alonso's family trust acquired the debt yesterday, the manager stammered. And the bank facilitates the collection? Yes, but what is the total payout? Lim Sung asked. He pulled a checkbook from his jacket pocket. Alonso laughed. It's not for sale, buddy. You can't just, everything is for sale. Lim Sung said. He didn't look at Alonso. He wrote a number on the check. A number with a lot of zeros. He ripped it out and slammed it onto the table. The sound echoed like a gunshot. The manager looked at the check. His eyes went wide. This covers the principal. And the penalty interest. And the closing fees. Close it, Lim Sung ordered. Now. You can't do that. Alonso screamed. His cool mask shattered. He slammed his hands on the table. That is my debt. She is mine. Not anymore. Lim Sung said. The bank just sold the note. I own the house. Which means you are trespassing on my property. Lim Sung leaned in close to Alonso's face. Get out. Alonso turned purple, but he had no moves left. He grabbed his lawyers and stormed out, knocking a chair over. We walked out to the car in silence. I sat in the passenger seat, staring at the deed Lim Sung had just bought. I felt sick. So, I whispered, do I belong to you now? Did you just buy me? Lim Sung started the car. He didn't drive. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a silver Zippo lighter. He flicked it open. The flame danced. He held it out to me. You don't belong to anyone. Tiana, he said softly. Burn it. I looked at the flame. Then at the paper that had held my family captive for 10 years. I held the corner to the fire. It caught. Orange flame ate the white paper. I rolled down the window and threw it out. I watched the ashes fly away in the wind. Gone. I was finally breathing. We thought it was over. That was our mistake. We thought because we won in the bank, we won the war. We thought rules mattered to a man like Alonso. We were driving back to the penthouse. The sun was shining. I was watching the ashes of the deed disappear in the wind. For the first time in forever, my shoulders weren't tight. I looked at Lim Sung. He was relaxed, driving with one hand. You're hungry, he said. We should get food. Real food. Not that healthy stuff I have in the fridge. I laughed. I actually laughed. I want a burger. Greasy. Cheap. Done, he said. He checked his side mirror. His smile vanished. Hold on. What? Hold on. He slammed the steering wheel to the left. Screech. A heavy gray truck came out of nowhere. It didn't brake. It accelerated. It rammed into the passenger side, my side. The world turned into noise and glass. We spun. Once. Twice. The car slammed into a concrete barrier at the edge of a construction site. The airbag exploded in my face. Dust. Smoke. The smell of burning rubber. My ears were ringing. I couldn't see straight. Tiana. Lim Sung's voice was wet. Strained. I looked over. He was slumped against the wheel. Blood was running down his forehead. Into his eye. He was hurt. Bad. Lim Sung. I reached for him, but my seatbelt was locked tight. Outside, a car door slammed. I saw boots crunching on the gravel. I saw a suit jacket ruined by sweat and rage. Alonso. He wasn't crying anymore. He wasn't smiling. He was holding a tire iron. He looked like a rabid animal that had chewed through its leash. He walked toward my window. He tapped the iron against his palm. Clink, clink. You think you can embarrass me? He screamed. You think you can burn my money? He swung the iron. Smash. The passenger window shattered, showering me in safety glass. I screamed, covering my face. He reached in. He grabbed my hair. Get out. He roared. You're coming with me. Lim Sung groaned. He tried to move, but the door was crushed in on his side. He was pinned. I was alone. This is it. The legal battle is over, and the street fight begins. Lim Sung is down. If you want Tiana to pick up a weapon and fight back, hit like right now. Subscribe, because what happens in the next 5 minutes changes them forever. Alonso yanked my hair harder. I said get out. I fumbled for the buckle. My fingers were slippery with sweat and blood. I looked at Lim Sung. His eyes were open, bleeding, furious. Run, he wheezed. I clicked the buckle. I fell out of the car onto the broken pavement. Alonso stood over me, raising the iron. You ruined everything, he spat. I looked around. Construction debris, rocks, dirt. I had to choose. Die here or fight. I scrambled backward on the gravel, scraping my palms raw. Alonzo loomed over me. He looked 10 feet tall. The sun was behind him, turning him into a dark shadow with a weapon. Please, I whispered. That old reflex. The begging. Shut up, he screamed. You ungrateful little. He raised the iron higher. He was going to hit me. He was going to break me right here in the street. Something inside me snapped. It wasn't bravery. It was exhaustion. I was tired of running. I was tired of being scared. I was tired of him. My hand closed around a handful of loose gravel and dirt. I said, shut up. He yelled, swinging down. No. I threw the dirt. Hard. Right into his face. He howled. He dropped the iron, clawing at his eyes. My eyes. You bitch. He stumbled back. I scrambled up. I should have run. But I couldn't leave Lim Sung. Alonzo wiped his eyes, blinking rapidly. He was red, weeping, furious. He lunged for me, blind rage guiding him. I'm going to kill you. He grabbed my throat. I couldn't breathe. His thumbs dug in. The world started to go black. Then a noise. A low, guttural roar. Like a lion. Alonzo was ripped away from me. He flew backward, slamming into the side of the truck. Lim Sung stood there. He was terrifying. Blood covered half his face. His shirt was torn. He was swaying on his feet, but he looked like death itself. Alonzo tried to stand up. You can't. Lim Sung didn't speak. He didn't hesitate. He walked forward and kicked Alonzo in the chest. Alonzo collapsed, gasping for air. Lim Sung grabbed him by the collar and slammed his head against the truck door. Thud. Alonzo slid to the ground. Unconscious. Broken. Lim Sung stood over him, chest heaving. He wiped the blood from his eye. He looked down at the man who had terrified me for 3 years. Then he looked at me. I was shivering, holding my throat. He stumbled toward me. He fell to his knees in the dirt, ignoring his own injuries. He grabbed my face with both hands. His touch was desperate, frantic. Did he hurt you? He rasped. Tiana, look at me. I'm okay. I sobbed. I'm okay. He pulled me into his chest. He buried his face in my neck. I could feel his heart hammering against mine. He leaned back, looking into my eyes. Then he turned his head to look at Alonzo's unmoving body. He leaned down, whispering loud enough for the unconscious man to hear in his dreams. If you ever say her name again. Lim Sung growled. I will cut your tongue out. He looked back at me. His eyes were wild, possessive, burning. You are under my protection, he said. Permanently. I'm yours. I whispered. I didn't mean as property. I meant as a partner. Mine, he agreed. He kissed my forehead. It wasn't gentle. It was a seal. A promise. The war was over. And we won. 2 weeks later, the stitches in Lim Sung's forehead were out, leaving a jagged pink line near his hairline. My bruises had faded to a dull yellow. Alonzo was gone, denied bail, awaiting trial for attempted murder and assault. The monster was in a cage, and I was sitting in the passenger seat of a new car. Lim Sung pulled over to the curb. We weren't at the penthouse. We were in a quiet, tree-lined neighborhood. Nice